In this video, we're going to discuss equations vocabulary, and we're going to use these vocabulary terms to help us describe different parts of equations. So the first one that we have is a variable, and the variable is the letter in the problem. So a letter that is used to represent one or more numbers in an expression, equation, or inequality. So an example of this could be 3x equals 17. In this example, the x would be the variable. The next one is the term, and I like to think of the term as the chunks of the problem. So a is a real number, a variable, or a combination. Of real numbers and variables. So if we write an example here, I'm going to write 2x plus 4 plus 7. If I look for the chunks of the problem, this 2x is a chunk. This positive 4 is a chunk because the operation sign goes with the number that's behind it. And then I have a positive 7 chunk. So in this one, there are 3 terms. There are 3 pieces to the problem. If I write another example, if I have 4y equals 16, I have this chunk here, and then I have the chunk behind the equal sign. Now that equal sign is not part of the 16 because it's not a positive or a negative number, or plus or minus. So there are 2 terms in this problem. The coefficient I describe as the coworker to the variable. So it's the coworker to the variable, and it is the number that is multiplied So if I give the example for z, and I put a little slash mark through the z so you are not confused that it's a 2. 4z equals 8. The coefficient in this problem would be the 4. Now it says when a variable has no number in front, the coefficient is automatically 1. So like that would be this example, x equals 7. Really this would be like a 1x. But in all reality, I have an x already written. I have 1x written there. So do I really need to write the 1? Not really. But if you're ever looking for how many x's are there, you slide in the 1 as the placeholder. A constant, I describe constants as sad numbers because they're constantly alone. Like sadness in Inside Out. They're constantly sad. They don't have any friends. So it's a term that it does not contain a variable. So if I look at the example 5r plus 12 minus 2, this positive or plus 12 is a constant because it doesn't have a variable friend, and so is this negative 2 or the minus 2. So let's look at the example where we're labeling the parts down below. This here is the variable, or one of them. This y is also a variable. This positive 3, remember the operator sign has to go with the number, which makes it positive. That is the coefficient to this y. So it's the coworker. And this 10 here is a positive 10. That is a constant because it's all by itself. And then the last thing I need to do is the terms. So this is a chunk of a term. This positive 3y is a term. And this positive 10 is a term. So what I want you to do is I want you to label the one down below, that 5x plus 7. Go ahead, do it on your own, and when you're ready, unpause the video and I'll show you the answer. So here's your answer for the bottom of that page. So the next page talks about not only can we determine the parts of a number sentence, we can also determine if it is either an equation or an expression. And an expression is a term or a combination of terms and operators. Now, the important thing to remember is an expression has no equal sign. An expression has no equal sign. So if I write an example of this, this could be like 2x plus 4, and that would be it. That's an expression. Same thing with order of operations problems that we've solved before. It didn't have an equal sign in the problem, therefore it's just an expression. An equation is a mathematical sentence stating that two expressions are equal. So an equation has an equal sign because it's saying that two sides are balanced, just kind of like how we were talking about with some of our properties. So we have 7y equals 14. I could easily slide in a 2 there if I were to solve this, and 14 would be equal to 14. So these two expressions would be equal. So let's look real quick. Let's determine if it's an equation or an expression. In number 1, I have an equal sign, and if I highlight that, you can see it, and that makes it an equation. In number 6, I'm just going to pop over here. Number 6, there is no equal sign, so that is an expression. I want you to do number 2 through 10 on your own and unpause the video so you can see your answers. And here are your answers for numbers 2 through 10. Make sure you're careful that you identified your equal signs to know if it was an equation or an expression. Now, so down below, I want you to label, just like you did on the other page, the parts of this equation. Remember, whenever you label this, this is a constant. It is also a term, but it does not include the equal sign as part of the number, like say this one would. This is a -9. Okay, so go ahead, pause here. I want you to label all of the pieces and unpause the video when you're ready to check your work. So here's your answer to your labeling. Remember that this negative goes with the 9, or the minus. Minus and negative mean the same thing. So that goes with the 9, and that is a -9 for the constant and for the term. Okay, if we look at the next page, so this is actually using some of the equations vocabulary in order to write different expressions or equations. So it says, in an example, it says create an algebraic expression with 3 terms and an invisible coefficient. So it's algebraic, and when a number says, or when a problem says it's algebraic, it's using the letters and the numbers. And you can highlight this down here. Algebraic use letters and numbers. So I need to have a letter. So I'm going to pick X. X is an easy letter to use. And I need an expression. So I do not want an equal sign. No equal sign. And I want 3 terms. So I need 3 chunks and an invisible coefficient. So I'm going to start with the 3 chunks. So I have 1, 2, 3 chunks. I do not need an equal sign anywhere. I need it to be algebraic, so I need to put a letter in somewhere. Let's start with there. And then I need 3 terms total. So there's my first term. I'll put in a +3 and a +2. And then I need an invisible coefficient, which is the coefficient of 1, which technically I could slide that in here, but I don't really need to write it because it's invisible. It's the invisible coefficient. And if I were to smush all of this together, I will get x plus 3 plus 2. Now, you don't need to write it like this if you don't want to. You're welcome to just leave it on the spaces. But this is what it would look like if you were actually looking at the expression. In the next one, it says create a numerical expression with 2 terms. And a numerical expression only includes numbers. So numbers only for numerical, and it's an expression, so there's no equal sign. And I want two terms, so I'm going to make two spaces or two buckets, and I want only numbers, so I will put a 2 and a +3. I'm using a lot of 2s and 3s. Let's use a 6 and a +4. There's only numbers, it's an expression, so there's no equal signs, and there's two terms. So if I squish this all together, it'd be 6 + 4. That would be your answer. Now, can you leave it on the spaces? Of course. But if you want to smush it all together and make it one big problem, you can there. Now, the reason I'm not putting a plus sign in front of the 6 is because anytime a number is just shown there, it's automatically assumed to be positive. That's why all the problems that we've been working with in 6th grade have been working with positive numbers, because any number without a sign in front of it, we assume is positive. So before I set you free and I want you to try some of these on your own, I want to talk about number 3. So if we look at number 3, we're creating an equation. So we need to have an equal sign, and there needs to be 3 terms. So I'm going to start with my terms, 1, 2, 3. I need to have an equal sign somewhere, so I'm going to pick here in the middle of the terms, because remember, the equal sign is not part of the term. And it doesn't say whether it needs to be algebraic or numerical, but I'm just going to say let's do it algebraic so we get some practice with using letters. I'm going to use x as my variable, and then I'm going to say, how about +5 or +5 is the one term, and then how about we say 10 goes here. So really what this would look like is x + 5 = 10. So that would be the answer to this problem. I have an equation with 3 terms, 1, 2, 3, and that's all it was asking for. Now, if you didn't come up with the same thing as this, that's okay, as long as it has similar characteristics. It needs to have the 3 terms, it needs to have an equal sign, and that was all the requirement that there was. So I want you to pause the video here. I want you to do the rest of the ones that are on the bottom of this page. Use the vocabulary that's up here for numerical and algebraic, and if you need to look back on what an expression and equation is. And then I want you to unpause the video and I will go over them with you. So if you look at number 1, it said create a numerical, so it's only numbers. It's an expression, so there's no equal sign, with 3 terms. So I'm going to make 3 spaces. I don't want an equal sign, and it's only numerical, so you should use only numbers. And I'm going to say 4 - 7 + 6. And if I were to rewrite that nice and pretty, it would look like that. So kind of like an order of operations problem. Number 2 is algebraic, so I need a letter. It's an expression, so there's no equal sign, and there are 3 terms. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3. I need a letter. I like x. X is an easy letter. And then the rest of it can be numbers, or you could use letters. It doesn't matter. I'm going to say +9 - 1. And if I write it nice and pretty, which you don't need to, you can leave it on the spaces, that is what it would look like. Number 4, it says create an equation, so I need an equal sign that has 9 as the coefficient. Now, it doesn't say how many terms I need, but I need to make an equation, so it needs to be something equal to something. I need 9 as a coefficient. If you look back at your notes, the coefficient is the coworker to the variable, so it's something squished in front of the number, which in this case, they're asking for it to be 9. So I need a 9 squished in front of a letter. So I'll say 9z. You could pick any variable you wanted, but 9 has to be squished in front of it. And I'll say that equals 18. If you chose a different number here, that's fine, but it should be a number. If you had a letter here, that would be okay too, but a number is best. Number 5 says create an algebraic, so it needs a letter, expression, so there's no equal sign, and with the variable y. So I need an expression. I want it to be algebraic, so there's my letter right there. So in reality, I don't need to use the x. I'm going to use the y. And It doesn't say how many terms, but I'm just going to make it 2. If you made it 1, technically that'd be okay, but you should make it 2 or more just because you're making an expression. It's not really an expression if you don't have anything else to operate with. So I'm going to put a y here, and I'm going to say plus 6. So if you squish it together, it'd be y plus 6 would be your problem, but you could leave it on the spaces. Number 6 says create an equation, so an equal sign, with 2 constants and 2 variables. So because I need 2 constants, constants stand on their own, so I need 2 of those, 2 numbers that stand on their own, an equal sign, and then 2 variables. So if I fill in 2 constants, I'm going to say 7 and positive 3. And then I need 2 variables, so I'll say x plus y. So 7 plus 3 equals x plus y is what it would look like if it was all squished together. Number 7 says create an equation, so I need an equal sign with a 4 as a coefficient and 3 terms. So I need 3 terms. Terms are always the best place to start. I need an equal sign. Now I need 4 as the coefficient. That is the coworker to a variable. So I'm going to say 4x, and then I'm just going to fill in the rest of it with numbers. Plus 8, and then we'll say this is 6. So I have 4x plus 8 equals 6. And that's what it would look like all squished together. And then the last one, it says create an algebraic. So I need a letter, expression, so I need no equal sign, with an invisible coefficient, so I need a 1 as a coefficient, and a constant. So it doesn't tell me how many terms I need. I need an invisible coefficient of 1, and I need, in that case, I need a letter, so I'm going to use an x. So I could say x, and I don't need an equal sign, but I need a constant. So it needs to be at least 2 terms. It could be more, but it needs to be at least 2. So my constant I could say is 4, and I'll say minus 4. And so an invisible coefficient of 1 could slide in here, but I really don't need to write that one there because it's invisible, and I only have 1x. And if I squish it together, it'd be x minus 4. Now, your answers don't need to be exactly like the ones that I showed for these, but they should be something similar to what I wrote. And if you have questions, make sure you go see your teacher.